Everybody doing? Glad to have you here. As you know, I am. I was just smoking that good. You know what I'm saying? Forgive me here. You know what I'm saying? I'm Juice Wanna. See right here. I don't know if y'all can see inside it. Hold on. All right. It's can't probably see it because it's green. You know what I'm saying? But I got that one. And I've been smoking on this other stuff right here. You know, I believe this is the sugar gelato. The other one was critical mass. Yeah, but this right here is. Hold on, let me show you one of the buds and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, if you see me a little off, it's just what it is. You know? Anyway, so we're doing chapter 9. I just figured out I gotta go and do chapter 8, but since I already had, hold on, this stuff right here within my ticker and all of that, already, set to go. I'ma just do chapter 9, then I'll go back and do chapter 8. Then we're halfway through the book. It's we're basically on page 223, and this is on the PDF form, not the actual page in the book. And excuse me, and it goes to 422, but then a lot of the stuff in the back, I believe, is like reference points and stuff like that. So and oh yeah, so don't forget, man, hit that like button. Check out my book. On Amazon. This is Street Skelzy, Knock 'em Out the Box, right? You know what I'm saying? Check that out. We would be much appreciative if you let us know what you think about it. I gotta probably get some grease here. I, um, I didn't get my drink or nothing, so I'm gonna try to ride through this one. I'm gonna try to ride through it. All right. Ready? Let's go. Let me take down this book here so we can go. Don't, or like I said, don't forget to hit that like. These are the different platforms that you could check me out on, right? Don't hit the like, the subscribe, and the notification bell so you can always know when new content is being uploaded or when we go live. You see it right there, the bang, bang, bang. Oh, yo, come on, right? So, oh yeah, forgive me, I got the little light. You know what? I didn't turn on this light. I was being lazy. Uh, okay, big difference, right? Big difference. All right. So let's go here. We going into masonry, the ancient mysteries. Adam, the first man who wore a apron, by whom invested distinction between Masonic lodges and Masonic philosophy, origin of Saspins or star worship, the sun god worshipped in secret, ancient mysteries, mysteries of Egypt and Asuisis. Masonry and the mysteries identical. Osiris and the sun god of Egypt, Hiram Abiff and Hiram Abiff and Osiris, one and the same. Freemasonry and old sun worship revived. Meaning of the term God of nature. Must believe Masonic testimony concerning itself. Be careful, you know, of even that, right? The lie would even lie on himself. Henry, but another difficult difficulty presents itself. If it has been so clearly documented, the Masonic institutions has existed only since February or June 1717. That is about 162 years. How come it's then that other Masonic authorities and even some of those from whom you have already quoted claimed it is much greater antiquity in attempts even to trace it back to the time of Adam? Now let me say, remember, this book is like the 1800s, so you know those numbers will be off, right? Mr. Burton, well, it is quite true that Adam was the first man who wore an apron, but although it may have been the badge of a Mason, yet instead of being the emblem of innocence, pardon me over here, it was undoubtedly then as as well as now, the emblem of deception, selfishness, and sin. Adam being invested with it by the Grandmaster Satan himself. But if we desire to have a correct understanding of Masonic antiquity, we must always draw a broad line of distinction between a Masonic philosophy and the Masonic Lodge, which that philosophy is included. The religious philosophies of Freemasonry is as old as sin itself, while the Lodge, which disseminates the philosophies, were only instituted during the period from 1717 see, I knew I needed some to 17 excuse me to 1778 and hence and I just ordered my cup too. Wait till my cup comes. And hence one of Masonic writers sparked of it a religious system endeavor traced this back to the remote. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a pause for a second, give me something to drink. I don't know, something with it is. It's something about when I sit in front of this mic, and I'm not that close, but it always makes me start coughing. I don't know what it is. Masonic writers speaking of it as a religious system endowed to trace it back to a remote antiquity, while another class alluding only to its government as at present constituted into lodges and grand lodges refer it to the period just mentioned. This view of question is fully sustained by all our Masonic authorities, but by none of them with greater clearness and accuracy than it found in a voluminous writings of A.G. Mackey, past Grand Master and Grand General Grand High Priest. He says in his Symbolisms of Freemasonry, page 2. If we seek the origin of the institution, molded into outward form as it is today, we can securely be required to look further back than the beginning of the 18th century, and indeed not quite so far. Excuse me. Like I said, my got a little tear in eye and everything. I don't know if y'all can see it there. Okay, hold on. Let me see here. Okay, push this over. Okay. While in a very same paragraph, he also declares with equal plainness that if we seek the origin and first beginning of the Masonic philosophy, we must go a way back into the age of remote antiquity, when we shall find this beginning in the bosom of kindred associations where the same philosophy was maintained and taught. And again, in his textbook of Masonic jurisprudence, pages 95, we see the truth is that Masonry is undoubtedly a religious institution which handed down through a long succession of ages from that ancient priesthood who first taught it, embraces the great tenet of the existence of God and the immortality of the soul. Upon the evidence of this high Masonic authority, then, we learn two very important facts, namely that Freemasonry in its present outward form of Grand Lodge government came into existence only in the beginning of the 18th century, while at the same time its religious philosophy is learned in various symbols previously existed in the bosom of kindred association, a way back into the region of remote antiquity, and bearing into distinction careful in mind, we can more easily understand and more readily appreciate the full extent of that celebrated Masonic revival, which we are authorizedly informed, authentically, or authoritatively. Wait, hold on. Which we are authoritatively informed took place under the leadership of Anderson and Dugas, I don't know his name, as already referred to. But what it is that these Masonic fathers and hold on, gonna move this over, and their co-laborers really revive. Where did they find the material for the Masonic philosophy? We will be getting into this, right? Um, and what were the kindred associations also so confidently alluded to by Brother Mackey? In searching for the beginning of the Masonic philosophy, no matter how far back we may go into the ages of remote antiquity, we can find only two kinds of religious philosophies: the religion of God and the religion of paganism, and but two classes of priest of God and the priest of Baal. And as the Bible contains all that can probably be known concerning the religion of the true God, his worship, and the priest by whom the worship was taught and conducted. And as Freemasonry has nothing whatsoever to do with the Bible and is not founded on the Bible according to its own authorized law books and manuals. Therefore, it must necessarily follow, even in absence of any further testimony, that the religious philosophy now indicated in Masonic temples is the very same that was anciently taught and practiced in the pagan temples of Baal and Osiris. But we are not left to conjure upon this point. Every Masonic manual and monitor makes more or less mention of it, while all or best of most popular writers speak in it in the most unequivocal terms. In fact, Freemasonry, but all its accredited authorities claim to be a revival of the ancient religious philosophy of Egypt. I don't know, Physionic, right? And other pagan nations who practice a secret worship in honor of the sun god, whom they designated by various names according to circumstances. And what is more, this very claim is boastfully asserted, well, because it's the truth. Before referring, however, to the direct Masonic testimony which have conclusively proved this fact, let us glance for a moment at the cause which originally gave rise to the worship of this supposed sun god of paganism, and to the establishment of these kindred associations, in the bosom of which we have been so confidently informed by Mackey. The Masonic philosophy had been discovered, and the tradition of Freemasonry by Pearson, right? Page 231, we read, Egypt was peopled after the deluge by the sons of Ham, and they made more rapid advances in recovering a knowledge of the arts and science, partially lost by the catastrophe, right? Then any other people until Egypt, because unto Egypt became to be looked upon as the mother of science. These early Egyptian settlers, in their periodical observations from year to year, as we learn from history, in search of some sign by means of which they could tell about what time the river Nile would overflow its banks, and so enable them to prepare for flight to their hill country, at least as a reward for their continued watchfulness, beheld in the morning near the stars of Cancer, through pretty far from the though pretty far from the bands of the zodiac towards the south in the few weeks after their rising. One of the most brilliant, if not the brightest stars in the whole heavens, ascending the horizon. It appeared a little before the rising of the sun, which had rendered it almost invisible for a month or two previous. This phenomenon becoming visible only a short time before the rising of the Nile. The Egyptians pitched upon the appearing of the magnificent star as the infallible sign of the beginning of the inevitable, and hence it became the public mark on which everyone was to work a watchful eye, not to miss the instant of retiring to the higher ground, as it was seen, but seeing a very little time about the horizon. It seemed to show itself in the Egyptians merely to warn them of the overflowing which soon followed. They then gave this star two names, having a very natural relation to the helps they borrowed their form. It warned them of the dangers, whereupon they called it torch or thought, the dog. They called it also the barker, the monitor, an Egyptian Anubis, and it may be worthy of brief mention that the same Anubis or dog star of early Egyptian is now the blazing star of the Masonic philosophy and has the very same meaning of the Mason today. It will be shown hereafter that formerly had from the dwelling of the lower Egypt. All right. So give me a second here. Slide this over. All right. The venerations with which this magnificent star was first regarded gradually led to its worship, which after a time was followed by the worship of other stars and heavenly bodies, and then again by others until at length the doctrine of Saturn's and star worship became the common religion of Egypt and the ancient centuries countries, and finally led to the Palestinians, which afterward everywhere prevailed. Okay, but while polytheism or the worship of many gods was the universal religion of the multitudes or the common people in all pagan nations, yet the sun or sun god, under different applications, was everywhere constitute as the chief deity, emblems of sun worship, right? So, and while the pagan masses offered their public devotions to their mermaids and senseless idols, the pagan priests and philosophers and rulers had a different worship which they practiced only in secret. secret, which they conducted with the most imposing ceremonies, in which they also celebrated in honor of the chief deity or sun god. This secret, hold on, right? Worship of paganism is in every country was termed the mysteries, and that which was revived by the Masonic fathers in the beginning of the 18th century. So that what was called the mysteries of Osiris or Baal or Bacchus or Dionysus in ancient times and today known as the mysteries of Masonry. On this point, all the Masonic writers, as has been already mentioned, gives much plain positive, unqualified, unqualified affirmative testimony that if we do not believe what they say concerning their own pet philosophies, it is useless to receive human testimony on any subject. And for the purpose of illustrating this Baal worship, and as if to give emphasis to their teachings and emblems of the sun, moon, stars, and company on the preceding page is found in all of our lodges and manuals. On the traditions of Masonry, page 232, we read, more pages in the writing of the ancients that have been preserved in our times, that devoted to the mysteries then and the development of empires. Hence, we have better knowledge of the ceremonial and legends of many of the many phases of the mysteries than we have of the countries in which they were practiced. This being the case, then let us now see how clearly this Masonic philosophy and Masonic institutions are shown to be identical in every feature which these pagan mysteries in the lexicon of Freemasonry by Mackey, page 125, we read. Let me stop for a second and say thank you for joining. We are reading. My fault. Got my mouth all dry. I told you I should have grabbed something to drink. My fault. We are reading the Master's Carpet. We are on page 9, right? I am Juice Wanna. This is Old Jaw Gritty Grand Strain. So don't, oh, by the way, please don't forget to check out my, hold on a minute over here, right? Don't forget to check out my book, Street Scalzi, Knock 'em Out the Box. It's on Amazon Books. You can check it out. You know, it's about two brothers who are on opposite sides of the law, but must team up in order to track down their father's killers. This is a murder mystery that takes place throughout the streets of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. It's a tri-state, you know, epic adventure where you will be surprised at who was actually the villain of this mystery. Like I said, it's called Street Scalzi, Knock 'em Out the Box. You can go on Amazon Books and read it as you would like. Don't forget, pardon me, I'm over here looking for something. Don't forget to also hit the like button, right? Hit the subscribe and hit that notification so you can constantly get updates on whenever new material is being uploaded or I go live. But either way, you will be updated. Okay. The love, right? So yeah, let's get back to this reading real quick. I know my lips looking crazy for a second. Right? Um, let's get back to this reading, right? Okay. In the Lexicon of Freemasonry by Mackey, page 125, we read Egyptian mysteries. Egypt was the cradle of the mysteries of paganism. At one time in the possession of all the learning and religion that was to be found in the world. It extended into other nations and influence of its sacred rites and its secret doctrines. And in describing the mysteries, Dr. Mackey again says on page 315, this is the name given to those religious assemblies of the ancients whose ceremonies were conducted in secret, whose doctrines were known only to those who obtained the rights of knowledge by a previous institution and whose members were in possession of signs and tokens by which they were enabled to recognize each other. It's not is not this an exact description of Freemasonry, or could any language be employed to portray the Masonic symbol more accurately? But again, Warburton definition of the mystery was as follows. Each of the pagan gods had, besides the public and open, a secret worship said unto him, to which none were admitted but those who had been selected by preparatory ceremonies called initiations. The secret worship was termed the mysteries, divine legations, volumes IP, I guess it's supposed to be one, page 189. The most important of the mysteries were those of Matthias, Matthias, right, celebrated in Persia, of Osiris and Isis, celebrated in Egypt, of Elysius, instituted in Greece, and in the Scandinavian and Judical rites, which were confined to the Gothic and Celtic tribes. This is gonna matter. Um, when I do the breakdown again. I think I said I'm gonna do it after this one, but like I said, I still gotta do 8. So if I don't, depending on how this is, if it ain't this one, then it's after 10 that I will be doing the breakdown, right? But I still will be doing 8, right? Just so you know. Like I said, this is just for people, who might not want to go read it, but you can go online and actually read this book. Just type in the master's Carpet Mah, right? And a further and it's on PDF, right? Explaining the common origin of these mysteries and their identity in everything except in the name of the hero god alone. The Masonic textbook relates traditions of Freemasonry, page 233, and the mysteries throughout the world were the same in substance, being divided from one source and celebrated and honored, and the same deities through acknowledged under though acknowledged under different applications. From all this undoubted Masonic testimony, then, the following facts are apparent, namely that along the ancient pagans, a public and secret worships were practiced, that this secret worship first originated in Egypt and was everywhere known as the mysteries, that all these mysteries were the same in substance, their religious philosophies, their legends, and their hero, all the sun god, being the same everywhere, only under different applications, that the knowledge of these mysteries were obtained only by institution, and that the secret religious assemblies were different members were in possession of signs, grips, and tokens by which they were enabled to recognize each other. These are the kindred associations alluded to by Mackey, and in all other Masonic writings, in the bosoms of which they assert in such very positive language that the Masonic philosophy was found, and it is to prove this fact and to establish, right? You know how we got to do. Establish beyond a doubt the identity of these ancient mysteries with the Masonic. Hold on, you know what? Pardon me. Pardon me. Right? Beyond a doubt, the identities of these ancient mysteries with the Masonic institution that they have taken such great pains and to describe with minute exactness every particular incident connected with their celebrations. But again, Freemasonry teaches us Lexicons of Freemasonry by Mackey, page 315. In all these various mysteries, we find a singular unity of design, clearly indicating a common origin. The ceremonies of institutions were all funerals in their character. They celebrated the death and the resurrections of some resurrection of some cherished being, either the object of esteem as a hero or of devotion as a god. Subordination of degrees was instituted, and the candidate was subjected to prohibition varying in their character and severity. The rites were practiced in the darkness of night, and the full fusion of knowledge for which so much labor was endured and so much danger incurred was not attained until the aspirant well tried and thoroughly purified had reached the place of wisdom and of light. Here we find the system of Freemasonry, its degrees and institutionary ceremonies, and the legends of Hiram Abiff described in the accuracy of detail which many possibly be equaled but cannot be excelled. The mysteries, he says, were all funeral in character. So it is Freemasonry that had a subordination of degrees. So has Freemasonry. The mysteries celebrated the death and resurrection of some cherished being. Masonry celebrates the death and resurrection. I don't know if it's Hiram Abiff, but we're going to say Hiram Abiff, who is cherished among, right? The fraternities as a being of superior excellence and whose name is ever sacred on their lips. And again, on the Eleusinian Eleusinian Mysteries, page 130, 183, we read, these were among the most important of the ancient rites and were hence often called ephoratically the mysteries, right? You can see it there just in case I'm saying knowing I'm saying it wrong. My fault. Right, and these mysteries was commemorated in the series in search of secret after her daughter Prospian Prospine Prospine. The chief dispenser of the mysteries was called the right. We gonna horrifiant and or revealed of sacred revealer. What is? Let me see. Revealer of sacred things. We call him worshipful master of masonry. To him were joined three assistants, right? The Dochian, the torch bearer, the Cyrax, or the herald, and the Hamabome, Hebophobo, and the or the altar server. Sorry if I got all of that messed up. I know I got all of that messed up. Right. In Freemasonry, the senior warden, junior warden, and senior deacon are joined with the worshipful master in opening, closing, and conducting the various degrees ceremonies. The worshipful master is the Hierophant, or the revealer of sacred things. The senior warden represents the torchbearer, being next in office to the master, and whose chief business it is to assist him in the active duties of the lodge. The junior warden represents the herald, whose station is always in the south and makes proclamation to the brethren when the lodge is about to be opened or closed, while it is upon the altar. Right. So basically, when you got your lookout, you got your main man, you got your other dude, and this, and how you run an operation. It's like this, right? And in the search of Kyrie, right? For her daughter Prosper Payne, which was practiced in the institutionary ceremonies, right? Right, ceremonies of the mysteries of Eleusis is most vivid represented in the Master Mason's Lodge by the search of the 12 fellow crafts from Hiram's body and for the master's word. But again, the mysteries were of two kinds, the lesser and the greater. The Masonic mysteries also are of two kinds, the lesser mysteries comparing the Enter the Apprentice Fellow Craft in the first section of the master degree, and the greater mysteries which comprises comprise the drama of Hiram or the temple legend. But F to place this matter of the identity of masonry with the mysteries beyond the possibility of a doubt. Dr. Mackey informs us in his lexicon, page 183, and these regulations, as well and the gradual advancements of the candidate from one degree to another, that resemblance of our own institutions is readily perceived, which has given to those as well as the other ancient mysteries an appropriate name of superius Freemasonry. And again, in the symbolism of Freemasonry by A.G. Mackey, page 15, it is stated these mysteries existed in every country of Heathendom, and each under a different name and to some extent under a different form, but always and everywhere with the same design of incalculating by allegorical and symbolically teaching the great Masonic doctrine of the unity of God and the immortality of the soul. This is an important proposition, pardon me, and in the fact which it announced and initiated must never be lost sight. Let me make sure more. Okay, must um must never be lost sight of, and in any quick inquiry into the origin of Freemasonry for the pagan mysteries were to be superior Freemasonry of antiquity. Previously, what the Masters lodges are to the Freemasonry of the present day. Again, in the tradition of Freemasonry, page 8, ATC Pearson declares the writings of the ancient sages afforded many coincidences and ceremonies, customs, urges, symbols, and allegories between the ancient mysteries and the religious associations, the mysteries, and that which is now termed Freemasonry. And hence, if words have a meaning, it is undoubtedly demonstrated by the very highest Masonic authority in the land that the ancient usage and established customs of the secret worship of paganisms are today reproduced and enforced in all our Masonic lodges, and consequently, that when a candidate in the perpetration my fault preparation room seriously declares upon his honor that he will cheerfully conform to all the ancient usage and established customs of the fraternity. He simply pledges, therefore, that he will conform to all the ancient urges and established customs of the secret mysteries of the old sun god of Egypt, and all and all his subsequent obligations and every oath administered to him afterward on the square and compass, and are but so many solemn pledges swearing him that he must forever, and I mean forever, after conform to and abide by and maintain and support that wicked adultery, right? Ideology, same difference. No, it's not the same, but ideology. But Masonic audacity and infidelity goes even still further than this. Freemasonry must be proved by some means to be divine, to be of divine origin, and as the ancient mysteries of Baal worship and Masonic mysteries are one and the same. Therefore, nothing remains to be done but to assert the divine origin of the former, and that the course vouches for the later, right? The course vouches for the latter, while at the same time it proclaims as loudly as the devilish ingenuity and the positive anti-Christian principles of Masonry can utter the words that the teaching of the Bible is but a mere fable, and the gospel of Christ a base delusion. In the tradition of Freemasonry by Pearson, page 13, we read, the order known as Freemasonry appears to have been, my fault. Yeah, I think I was off the last time. My fault. Been read, we read, appears to have been initiated as a vehicle to preserve and transmit an account of the miracles dealing of the Most High with his people and the infancy of the world. The identity of the Masonic institution with the ancient mystery is obvious for the striking coincidence found to exist between them and the general Ahmed Razon or Freemason's Guide by D. Sickles, page 57, informs us that the Egyptians, Greece, and among other ancient nations, Freemasonry, that is the mysteries, was one of the earliest agencies employed to effort the improvements and enlightenment of man. Wow. Right. Wow. In the manual of the laws, page 12, it is declared that the ancient mysteries were those sacred rites which have furnished so many models for Masonic symbolism, and that the opening ceremonies were of the most solemn character. But, however, concerning all these various testimonies, may be, and however, undoubtedly, they may establish the identity of Masonry with the ancient mysteries, yet our Masonic authors are by no means satisfied to allow the matter to rest even here. In addition to all this, they give a critical analysis of the legend, which was common to all the ancient institutions. To make such a close comparison between that legend and the legend of Hiram and the Master Mason's degree, to no doubt whatever can remain even in the mind of the most skeptical that the secret worship of paganism was revived under the deceptive name of Freemasonry from the 17th to 1783, and that Hiram and Baal are one and the same character. But least this should be enough, and in order, if possible, that nothing might be left unsaid to connect the Hiram of the Masonic philosophy with the hero god or sun god of the old pagan mysteries, and satisfying the different countries in which the mysteries were practiced, and given the names of their various founders. It is especially mentioned that, pardon me, that Hiram Abiff himself introduced them to Judah, and hence that there can be no mistake made in the third degree when his name is substituted for that of Osiris Baal, Bacchus, Dionysus, right? Brahma, or any other of the hero gods of the ancient pagan worship. And these points we read as follow. Traditions of Freemasonry, page 159. The legend and tradition of Hiram Abiff form the communication of the connecting links between Freemasonry and the ancient mysteries, and sustains beyond pre-adventure the theory that Freemasonry, the mysteries, dates anterior to the Doge, and the strong probability of it their divine origin. And again, the Lexicon of Freemasonry by Mackey on page 195, speaking of the Masonic legend, says there are characters impressed upon in it which cannot be mistaken. It is strongly, thoroughly Egyptian, and is closely allied to the supreme rite of the Islamic mysteries. You hear it yourself, people. As in the traditions of Freemasonry by Pearson, page 240, the Masonic legend stands by itself, unsupported by history or others than its own tradition. Traditious. Yet we readily recognize in Hiram Abiff, the Osiris of the Egyptians, and the Mithridates of the Persians, the Bacchus of the Greeks, the Dionysius of the fraternities of the artifactors, and the Actes of the Pygians, whose passion, death, and resurrections are celebrated by those people respectively. For many ages and everywhere, Masonry has celebrated the death of Hiram Abiff. Everywhere among the ancient nations, there existed a similar allegory. And referring directly to the legend of Hiram and the third degree, Mackey in his manual of the Lodge, page 99, uses the following language. The idea of the legend was undoubtedly borrowed from the ancient mysteries, where the lessons was the same as that conveyed now in the third degree of masonry. So also in the Mason's Guide by Sickles, in explaining the Egyptians or Osirian legend and referring it directly to the Master Mason degree, affirms that the following empathetic manner page empathetic manner on page 9 196. The Egyptians right, that's 196. The Egyptian rite was a dramatic representation. This myth is the antitype of the temple legend. Osiris and the Tyrian architect, i.e., Hiram Abiff, are one and the same. Not a mortal individual, but a immortal principle. And lastly, in the traditions of Freemasonry, page 233, speaking of it, early introductions of these mysteries of Baal worship into different nations, is unequivocally affirmed that the mysteries were introduced, so say traditions, into India by Brahma, into China and Japan by Buddha, into Egypt by Thor, and son of Mizra, and to Persia by Zerdust, and to Greece by Maleficus or Candamus, and to right by Prometheus and his son, and to create by Minos, and right basically all of these right here, man. You can look at all of them. These are all the same person. If you do your research, all of these names, right, will come by, the Scandinavians, all of these different people. They basically all had that, right? Even down to the Mexicans, right? Into Peru, and his wife, and to Judah by Hiram Abiff. And now the last question, which it is necessary for us to examine in relation to this matter, and in establishing the coincidence between the Osiris of the ancient Egyptians and Hiram of modern Masonry, is who was Osiris? And what did he represent? In the lexicon of Freemasonry, I read again on page 130. This legend that is of Osiris was purely astronomically. Osiris was the sun, Isis was the moon, Typhon was the symbol of water, which destroys the function functionating and fertilizing power of the sun, thus as it were depriving him of life. This was the catastrophe celebrated in the mysteries, and the aspirant was made to pass fictitiously through the suffering and death of Osiris. While this While then, we have a brief but very clear explanation of what is meant by the God of nature. It is the functionation and fertilizing power of the sun, and this immortal principle being represented by the name Osiris in the Egyptian mysteries, and Osiris and Hiram Abiff being one and the same. It must be unquestionably follow that the functionating and fertilizing power of the sun and is the God acknowledged and worshipped by Masonry under the name Grand Architect of the universe, supreme ruler of the universe and company, and so on, right? And it is further evident that the word Lord and God referred to the Masonic ritual alluded only, right, to this same immortal principle or the natural power of the functionated and fertilizing. This is symbolized and enlarged by the letter G and the supposed destruction of this power by by winter, in or the night and darkness is represented in the pretended death and the candidate and the master degree, as was done in all the mysteries. This was the philosophy of the ancient sun worship and is the philosophy of today in Masonry. As we learn from the foregoing extract, therefore, without any controversy, the speculative Masonry of the present day revived in the London grog shop is the old Baal or sun worship of the ancients. But we have still stronger testimony to point out. In the tradition of Freemasonry by Pearson, page 34, this question of Masonic sun worship is placed beyond the possibility of a doubt. Pearson says, Bataille tells us in his manual de Franc Macon, Manual of Freemasonry, page 154, that the venerations which Masons entered for the East confirms an opinion preserviously announced that the religious systems of Masonry mark that comes from the East and has reference to the primitive religion whose first occupation was the worship of the sun. Also, in the symbolism of Freemasonry, page 27 and 28, right? Among the Egyptians, two of the chief deities, Osiris was but another name for the sun, while his arch enemy and destroyer, Typhon, was the typification of night and darkness. And again, let me move this over here a little. And again, many indeed, all of the Masonic symbols of the present day can only be thoroughly comprehended and properly appropriated by this reference to sun worship. And lastly, the symbolism of Freemasonry by Mackey, page 20. One thing at least he says, is incapable of refutation. That is that we are undoubtedly to the Titan Mason, tyrant Mason, for the introduction of the symbol of Hiram Abiff. The idea of the symbol, although modified by the Jewish Masons, is not Jewish in its inception. It was evidently borrowed by the pagan mysteries where Bacchian, Adinus, right, Pastrion, and a host of others authorized being played the same role that Hiram does in the Masonic mysteries. And now, in the face of all this vast accumulation of undisputed Masonic testimony, what other course is there left for us to pursue but to believe that Freemasonry so confidently affirms concerning its own identity? When the Grand High Priest and the Sovereign Grand King of the institution positively declares that its religious philosophies, its worship, its God are precisely the very same as existed in the mysteries of Baal and Sumeria and of Osiris in ancient Egypt. Are we prepared to deny it and to sustain our denial with proof? Most assertively not. We must admit, whether we like to or not, that that Freemasonry in America today, both and while in part, is identical in every particular feature with the secret worship of the sun god as it was anciently practiced among pagan nations. The only difference being that the name of the hero god has changed from Baal or Osiris to Hiram, and hence we must conclude whether we will or not, or whether we will or no, I guess that's supposed to be not, right? That every Masonic minister is doing as much, if not more, to paganize the community and to introduce men to the idolatrous worship of Hiram, as he is to Christianize it and to bring men to the Lord Jesus Christ. And it is a sad commentary on the infancy of these churches whose ministers are unequally yoked together with unbelievers. The pagan lodges, that they are spiritually dead, that no genuine revival of truth or true heartfelt religion is ever known among them, and consequently that they exert but very little influence for real permanent good in any community where they exist. Search America today and you cannot find a church organization of any name whatever whose minister is a Freemason or an old odd fellow, but what is, to all intent and purpose, a dead, inactive, or lukewarm institution. It is precisely in the condition of the church of Sardis and in the ministries and members and message of Christ, it is just as applicable at the present time as it was when first delivered through John and Patmos, Revelations 3 1 and 2. I know thy work, that thou hast a name, that thou livest and art dead. Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain, that are readily to die. For I have not found thy work perfect before God. Right? Or did I have that other page messed up? If I did, I'm sorry. Right? Let me sit up there for a second. Okay. No, I was right. Okay. Preparation for candidate. Wait, is this oh, my fault. That's chapter 10. All right, so we finished up there. That was chapter 10. We ended on page 244 of 422 pages, right? And I believe it's really in like the 300s. So, we're getting close, to ending this thing right here. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to hold on, let me come over here. Don't forget to hit that like button. These are the different platforms, along with many others, where you can find me on, right? Hit the like, hit the notification bell, and the what is it? The subscribe. That way you can get my fault, right? The constant notifications, and if you hit the like button, I get the love because people, get to know that what I'm putting out there is something that they might want to know, and so algorithms and all of that type of thing. So nonetheless, all right. I'm gonna be out of here until next time, people. Y'all hold it down. Peace, love, and all of that good stuff. Oh. And by the way, yeah, one more time, shameful plug. Check out Street Skelzy, Knock 'em Out the Box. It's about two brothers on opposite sides of the law. One is a street dog, the other one is a police officer. They have to team up in order to find the person who's person or persons responsible for killing their father. The police officer, he also has, a partner who rides along for the ride. And we also have a dancer who aids in the bed in finding who these or person is. Peace. Until next time, we are out of here. Much love.